Right. All right, guys. Well, good morning and welcome to our Soul CEO. This is our Soul CEO Bible study, 31 days to wisdom, 31 days of wisdom. And this is session two, where we're actually breaking down the last seven chapters of Proverbs that we've been in. Right now, it's Proverbs 2 through Proverbs 8. If you guys have missed our introductory session, the replay is posted inside the Soul CEO Facebook group. You can connect with it there. I've also emailed it out as well. That will help ground you and kind of create the foundation of what this entire, I don't know, like the instruction, the theme, kind of building on what Proverbs is for us. But for week two, I am so proud of you guys for showing up again. Because here's the thing what's going to happen is there going to be a few new people each week as people kind of jump into the study midstream, and then a few less people every week because ultimately people are bad finishers. Most people, and you guys have probably felt that in life. You've started a diet, you've started maybe a business plan, a launch strategy, a campaign, a challenge. Maybe you guys have bought a million Bible studies and with a really great intention, read the Bible in a year, or 2 years, or 3 years, and then you just don't actually finish it up. So I really am encouraged that you guys are here today, and I want to give you like a special kisses, hugs, pat on the back because you're really doing it. I have been watching the comments in the daily micro studies, and oh my gosh, this week, you guys are blowing me away with how you guys are coming and showing up every morning with your insights, with your takeaways. I love when we're completely aligned, but I think I even love it more when you see something I didn't even think about because it's like, oh my gosh, that is like really, really good. The comments, the takeaways, where it is like landing for you. Oh, that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing. So the last 7 days, we have covered seven chapters. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull a thread through all of them. So I'm going to actually build like a theme that I've seen that I hope that I'm able to put it together as like one distinct argument for you guys, an argument for wisdom. And I hopefully that kind of like we're going to go into three different chapters specifically, and I'm just going to kind of build it on. So I hope it kind of comes together. Pray for me, right? But let's start this conversation like we do all the time. Let's start in prayer. Let's set the tone, okay? So bow your heads with me. God, you are in this room. Thank you so much for every woman, for every man that is watching and participating in this study, that's showing up in the group every single week, reading, sifting, meditating on your word, and letting the word do what only your word can do. I pray that today you go deeper in your meaning, what you want for us, that you are building each of us up this month, that it goes way past inspiration, way past information, and that it actually goes into a place that goes into our bones and that helps us actually move in your wisdom. Open our ears to hear and our eyes to see what you are saying through these seven chapters and give us courage to actually do something with it. Give us courage to do something with it in all the circumstances and situations that you present to us in the near future. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for Soul CEO. You guys are my unbelievable happy place. I was talking you up the last couple of days. I had several Zooms this last week. It's kind of been like, whoa, it's kind of been gnarly when I think about like my bandwidth and what I'm running right now. But I was talking about Soul CEO and I'm like, guys, you don't understand. Like this personal brand for me truly is my happy place because we get just to be all about Jesus here. And so we can make money and talk about business and build brands and create funnels. But we always keep the main thing the main thing. Amen. Right? We're doing that. All right. So before we go into the stories today, before we weave through the Bible, Proverbs, and then to Genesis and all that, I actually want to show you how I believe that Proverbs 2 through 8 actually has some connection to it. I actually don't feel like the way that it was set up, this is not random, and nothing about God and his creation, and certainly not his word, is random. I love when I find that. Do you guys see that? Drop one in the chat. When you like read the Bible, you're like, oh, I get it. This is connected. These are related to each other. There's a reference here. And I feel like these seven chapters specifically, that there is a continuous theme, a continuous thread, and a continuous argument. It's kind of actually a progression. And I actually see it as building the case to not only get wisdom, how to get it, but also seeing what it produces in you and what it actually protects you from. How many guys got your pen and a notebook or a journal here? Hold up your journal. Let me see it. Let me see your pen. Let me see your journal. I got it all here, right? You guys ready? Okay, I got a lot of notes for you today. So hopefully you can write really, really fast. Otherwise, move to typing because I got a lot for you. So I'm going to give you the thread that I saw in each proverb really quick, just a couple words on each proverb. I'm going to go pretty fast. Proverbs 2, so we're going to talk about wisdom. Proverbs 2 is seeking it. Proverbs 2 is seeking it, not passively. I'm talking about actively, aggressively, progressively, like literally seeking it as something that you're trying to like dig something out of the dirt, something that's like buried, okay? Proverbs 3, so Proverbs 2 is seek it. Proverbs 3 was surrendering to it. Remember, we discussed in the micro study, trusting God with all of your heart, all. So it's letting go of the version of your life where you are in full control. It's kind of like Jesus take the wheel. It's kind of like making God the CEO of your life, not only of your business, not only of your faith walk, not only of your relationship or your Sundays, but of everything. So Proverbs 3 is surrendering to it. Proverbs 4 is guarding what it produces. So in Proverbs 4 was guarding. This was talking about the heart being the source, right? The top, everything flowing from it, protecting it. Proverbs 5 was that wisdom protects your integrity. So wisdom protects your integrity. So Proverbs 2, you're seeking it. Proverbs 3, you're surrendering to it. Proverbs 4, you're guarding it. And then Proverbs 5, it's protecting you so that you do the right things when nobody is watching or maybe when everyone's watching. But it's the private life that shapes your public one. It's who you are when nobody's watching that really shapes your public one. A lot of this actually we see in very practical terms. May I share with you? I know many people that I've been in health and nutrition for the better part of about 15 years. And mind you, I'm coming from a person that could easily, I'm telling you guys, easily, I'm going to candidly say this, I'm not joking, I could be 300 pounds easily. I love food. I'm a big fan, huge fan of food. I love all of it. I love fried food. I love sugary food. I love sugar dipped, sugar fried, salty food. All of it combo. If it's the Minnesota State Fair, that is my love language. If you've ever been to the Minnesota State Fair, they're like, let's deep fry a cheeseburger crushed with Oreo topping. I'm like, that's exactly what I woke up wanting today. Okay. I could easily be 300 pounds. But I will tell you that I have learned some discipline with food. I've learned great habits. And ultimately, I really like what a good diet kind of does for me. I love being the size that I wear. I love being the weight that I typically am. Obviously, I'm postpartum here, but I like being what I look like. I like the feeling. I like being able to sleep better. I like not having acid reflux. I like all the benefits of having a good diet as well as working out, which I work out about 5 to 6, sometimes even 7 days a week. Now, this is not to brag. This is not to say that I'm like better or like some sort of sanctimonious fitness rant for you. What I'm saying is if your private life shapes your public one, nobody sees what I eat every day. Nobody sees what you eat every day, but they do, right? Nobody sees where you're working out, right? Like when I think about my mom and Nikki that have been doing like 75 hard, both of which have lost a ton of weight, building muscle, changing their bodies, doing it together as like friends and like accountability partners. Nobody's really seeing it, mom, when you're going and you're taking Teddy on the second workout of the day that you've been doing essentially for like 150 days now. Nikki, nobody goes and sees that Pilates class that you just did, right? Or the mat Pilates and nobody saw that unless your husband just comes home early and you're like, oh, you're doing Pilates in the living room again. Nobody sees it, but we see it. It's the same thing with your business in the sense of nobody sees when you're working or if you're not, but they see it. Meaning they see you ranked, they see your production, they see your stack, and you're like, Rachel, I'm so much more than that. Of course, I'm not saying that it's all about outward appearance. I'm just saying that your private life shapes your public one. Whatever you do and how it protects. Okay, I can't spend too much time here because I could literally just go in too much. All right. Proverbs 6, wisdom protects your relationship. So if Proverb 5, it protects your integrity. Proverb 6 protects your relationships and also your reputation. Because we see what God hates and we see what destroys community and what destroys relationships. Proverbs 7 is wisdom protects your discernment. So 5 is integrity, 6 is relationships and reputation, and 7 Wisdom protects your discernment. It's always this seduction that looks like an opportunity. Remember, I told you guys yesterday in Proverbs 7, it's flattery and urgency. When it feels really good, when you feel really special, when you got to make a really quick decision, that's when you make very unwise, foolish decisions. It's when flattery bypasses your gut, like that gut instinct. And Proverbs 8, wisdom was with God before creation. And this is like what hits me there. Like it has been there from the beginning. And when we know that obviously Jesus was there in the beginning, Holy Spirit was there in the beginning, we understand that wisdom was there and she is so loud in the marketplace calling out to you. She's available. And the question is whether you're answering. So you see this entire thing like you got to seek it, you got to surrender to it, then you got to guard it. And here's all the benefits it's going to give you: protection, relationships, a reputation. And it's been there from the beginning and it's actually for you and it's actually calling out to you. Wow. Seek it, surrender it, guard what it produces, let it protect you, answer when it calls. That's the complete sentence of the last 7 days in one sentence. And today we're actually going to unpack a little bit more. I want to go through three different people in the Bible today with you. Three different people, three completely different circumstances, but we see and actually three different types of pressure. Three different types of pressure, but the same wisdom thread that's going to move through all of it. Let's head over to 1 Kings 10. I talked to you about you guys last week. We're going to talk about the Queen of Sheba. 1 Kings 10. So if you're in the Word, in the Bible, it's about 1/4 of the way through First Kings. So after you get through the first several chapters, past Judges, Ruth, First Samuel, Second Samuel, First Kings, go to First Kings chapter 10. We're going to read the first few verses together. Does anybody want to read the first 9 verses? Anybody want to raise your hand? First Kings 10. Doesn't have to be me. Anybody want to read? Just raise your hand or let me know in the chat if you want. Nice, welcome. A few people just jumped on. Anybody want to read? Carol, you're going to read. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
Hi, Smooch, because you look
Okay.
just so cute today. All right, read
Oh,
First Kings chapter 10 and let's just go to the first 9 verses.
okay. Now, when the Queen of Sheba heard the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to test him with hard questions. She came to Jerusalem with a very great retinue, with camels bearing spices and very much gold and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she told him all that was on her mind. And Solomon answered all her questions. There was nothing hidden from the king that he could not explain to her. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the food of his table, the seating of his officials, and the attendance of his servants, their clothing, his cupbearers, and his burnt offerings that he offered at the house of the Lord, there was no more breath in her.
Mhm.
How far did you say?
Go 3 more
Sorry.
verses till 9.
Till 9. Okay.
Through
And
9.
she said to the king, the report was true that I heard in my own land of your words and your wisdom, but I did not believe the reports until I came and my own eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told to me. Your wisdom and prosperity surpassed the report that I heard. Happy are your men, happy are your servants who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and set you on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord loved Israel forever, he has made you the king, that you may execute justice and righteousness.
I love this. Thank you so much, Carol. Give Carol some love in the chat. That's so great. Thank you. I love that I don't have to read all the time. So if you guys want to be quick on the draw, I'd love for you guys to read. All right. So I want to set you guys the scene because I think context matters. The Queen of Sheba, she's not a small figure. Okay. She is the head of a state. She's a sovereign ruler who is wealthy over a powerful nation. She had resources. We're going to learn about that next. Influence. She had access by every earthly measure. Okay. So this wasn't just like some chick down the street. This was a very powerful woman. She did not need anything from anybody. She had access to it all. Okay. And when she hears about Solomon, the reputation is spreading, right? Through the regions, through these different governing and these palaces about his wisdom, the way he leads and governs. about the way he speaks, the way that every question that was put to him, he finds an answer that just like hits people. She's like, okay, here's what she does. She doesn't send a slave or a representative or her overseer or her like cupbearer or something. Like, she doesn't send somebody to go and learn. She and like, hey, go to Solomon, figure out what he knows, and then come back. What does she do? She goes herself, right? She packs a caravan of gold, spices, precious stones, an enormous and expensive, and I need you to understand, logistically demanding journey. This is over 1,500 miles back then. There was no Delta, there wasn't a locomotive, there wasn't the combustion engine. Ford didn't have their Model T out, right? She's packing up an enormous amount of basically foods and offerings and gold and precious stones to give. And she travels over that 1500 to sit with him, just to sit in the presence of his wisdom. And I love that she asked hard questions. She asked all of her hard questions. That was so good. That was verse one. And it wasn't like she was going to test him with easy stuff. And can I just like sideline this here? She does this really insane, logistical, expensive journey. She gets in front of somebody that obviously he has something she wants. She was like, I have access to everything, but you, sir, are something special. I am blessed, and it's never lost in me the influence I have as a leader, right? As a mentor, as a coach. I love it. I thrive in it. I appreciate, I'm humbled by it. But you know what I'm always blown away by? People who come in my presence and don't have questions. The amount of coaching calls that I do, that I open it up for questions, and there's nothing. Now, I'm not saying I'm Solomon. I am one millionth of what King Solomon was. Nobody came like him before. Nobody will ever come to him again. But I've done a thing. I've done a few things. I've made a few things, and I have a stack. And I'm shocked that somebody who's making $500 a month or even $10,000 a month doesn't even think to say, I might want to pick your brain. I need a question for you guys. When you are in the room with wisdom, how do you posture yourself? How do you come with a coachability spirit? How are you come ready to seek it, to gain it, to pull it out? Do you come ready with hard questions? Not in a way of trying to test the person to like, oh, I'm going to really put them in their place. It's more of the sense of this person has gotten to a place I need to be. Maybe it's the couple that you know that have been married for 50 years and still chase each other around the house naked. And you're like, I need to take them to coffee. I need to take them to lunch, and I need to figure out the wisdom of their marriage, what they've gotten right, what they figured out, how I can hack that. Maybe it's the person that has a funnel or has a business that you would like to emulate. They have the clients, the customers, the team. They have something that you want. Have you exhausted all of your hard questions with them? Have you sought out the coach that has what you need, that has the information? She traveled 1,500 miles in a time that wasn't. And guys, I love it. I wanted to stop Carol at 9 because in verse 10 it says, she gave the king 100 talents of gold. And then, of course, great quantity of spices and precious stones. Okay, I had to Google what 120 talents is because that doesn't sound like very much. Do you guys want to guess how many pounds that is? Just in the chat. Do you guys want to guess how many pounds of gold that is? Right? A pound of gold. Holy moly, right? You're holding this pound of gold. What is 120 talents? Don't Google it. 9,000. June knows. 9,000 pounds. Do you guys know what the spot price value of that is today? $620 million. But think about even just logistics of moving 4.5 tons of gold. Like, what was her caravan at that point? And some people are still, you're still like wondering, should I pay the coach $97? Should I buy the course for $1,000? Should I get into the mastermind? Should I get into the mentorship? But again, I'm not saying for me, I'm saying for anything. Like I've spent over $100,000 on my personal education outside of, college was nothing. But in the last, I mean, on average, I'll pay anywhere from maybe 20,000 a year on my personal education through masterminds, mentorship, courses, classes, books, tapes, audios, all the things. Why? To gain more wisdom. I love this in verse 7, going back to it. It says, when the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom Solomon has, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, I report I've heard in my own country about your achievements, and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Listen to this. Indeed, not even half was told to me. Not even half was told to her. The reality of wisdom exceeding everything she had ever heard about. She pursued it at the greatest personal cost, over a 1,500 miles, right? The massive caravan. She left her kingdom. And what she found on the other side, seeking wisdom, was better than what she was ever told to expect. That's Proverbs 2. That's not, this is what it looks like to seek wisdom like buried treasure. I told you guys, seek it like it's buried. This is not casual. This is not convenient. And it's also not from a distance. You pack the caravan and go. You make the investment, you take the time. And when you look at verse 9, she says, blessed be the Lord your God who has delighted in you. She leaves the encounter not only impressed with Solomon, but she's actually worshiping the God that made him. Do you know that your wisdom bodes well on the Father? Your wisdom brings glory to him. That your wisdom in the marketplace, in situations, that every time that you act accordingly, and I'm not saying just head knowledge, we're not talking about just Solomon's interest in biology or botany at this point, which he studied all of that, right? He's practically like a zoologist. We're talking about you making good decisions will speak well. Here's another way to look at it. How many guys know that when we act foolishly, it's embarrassing to God? When we act impulsively, when we act selfishly, when we give in. I remember being quite young. I think I was just turned 21 at this time. And I was getting ready to get married in my first BT before Tony. So I was getting ready to get married, and I went to go get my hair done prior to my wedding. And I'd gotten like a referral, and I was going to see this hairstylist in Scottsdale, and I wanted to get like highlights done for my wedding. So I brought in pictures. I met with the girl. We got it done, and she had done like highlights and lowlights, and it was like black. And so when she took it out, I was like, it didn't look anything like the photos. It was super, super dark. I was 21 years old. I was super emotional. Okay. Young, stupid, foolish, lady folly. Okay. And I was so upset. I didn't know how to like tell her. I didn't know how to express it there. And I was like, I can't believe. And I remember at that time not having much money, working in retail. And it was, I think at the time where I wrote checks. It was like before like debit cards were really powerful. And I was so angry and I was fuming inside. And I remember getting to the desk and like the lady, and like she could kind of tell, like I was like really upset I'm not talking. And they're checking me out. And I remember tossing the check to her and walking out, like flinging the check. It like embarrasses me to even tell this story because it's probably like the most embarrassed, one of the more embarrassing moments of my life in like just action. And I made a lot of stupid mistakes. But I remember I was like, ah, and I just like walked out. I didn't say anything. I didn't like express my points. I didn't say this really sucks. I don't like it. I was just like disgusted. I have to pay for this. And I left. Well, the referral of who knew this salon and the hairdresser knew my pastors at church. So the following days, my pastor calls me into the office to express what he heard about the situation. Of course, I am beat red. I am like, of course, this would get back to you guys. And it was the sweetest corrective moment. It was so like enduring and patient. And they're looking at me as this like just tall, dumb blonde, just like a young kid. But it stuck in me that moment, that like kind of like customer service interaction. I didn't represent Christ well. Now, the Queen of Sheba was probably impressed by all of Solomon's kingdom and all that he had. But I also am, I think it's not going out on a limb that she saw God in him, that she saw favor in him. And I think so often our situations, the more wisdom we have, we can walk in uprightness and we can show well upon the Father. I've had a million other moments since, but I honestly can't think of a ton as public like that, that I look back and I'm like, wow, I'm really disgusted by that. I have a whole story about my second company, my weight loss company, and how I led, and I was a complete jerk. That's a whole nother story. But I've learned a lot from that. But that moment, how was I acting in wisdom? I was not. All right, let's move to story number two. Let's head over to Genesis. Genesis 24. Whew, I'm glad I got that off my chest. Yes, my pastor was amazing. And they're still in my life, even like, I don't know, that's been like 15. Oh my gosh, 20 years later, they're still in my life and amazing. I've interviewed him on my podcast, Pastor Scott Adams, just incredible. Okay. Now we're going to go to the story of Rebecca, Genesis 24, Genesis 24, Genesis 24, Genesis 24. Um, I'm not going to read. This is quite lengthy. Do you guys mind if we, instead of just reading it, can I give you guys a summary? Let's just go through the summary really quick. Okay, so this story is we're going to talk about wisdom expressed through character. Okay, so it's kind of again to the heart side, and I'm going to build this all up. This story starts with Abraham's servant, okay? And he has been sent on one of the most earnest errands in his entire life to find a wife for Isaac. Okay. So for the son, this means finding the woman that will literally carry the lineage of the covenant forward. This is no small task, okay? So he travels to the city of Nahor. He stops at a well in the evening, and at the time when the women usually come out and they start to draw water. And he prays a very specific prayer that he's been asked in all of scripture to do. He says in verse 14, 24:14 in Genesis, may it be that I say to a young woman, please let down your jar that I may have a drink. And she'll say, drink, and I'll water your camels too, and let her be the one that you've chosen for your servant Isaac. Basically, he's saying, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to Nahor. I'm supposed to find this woman. Lord, give me a sign. Help me go to the well, bring a lady out, and let her be it, the one who responds. And it was so crazy. He didn't even finish praying before Rebecca arrived. And by the way, guys, she was beautiful. She was a virgin. She goes down to the spring, she fills her jar, and when the servant runs out to meet her and asks for the drink, she gives it to him immediately. She gives it to him immediately. And then, without being asked, without even being prompted, without even knowing that she's being observed for anything other than hospitality, she says, I'll draw waters for your camels too until they've had enough to drink. And I need you guys to understand what this meant. The average camel could drink 25 gallons of water. He had 10 of them. So she drew at least 250 gallons of water out from the well. Just think about this wasn't like a small, like, hey, here's the 20-ounce Coke, zero in my pocket. Here's my electrolyte drink. Here's my Axie. It wasn't like just this passing of a mason jar. She is literally getting hundreds of gallons of water prepared. And so when she volunteered, it wasn't something small. And guys, it wasn't because anybody asked her. Nobody was grading her. She wasn't in the spotlight. She wasn't told that this was a test, right? She wasn't aware, like, oh, I'm going to the well tonight and there's an opportunity for me to get favor. She saw a need and she moved towards it with everything that she had. The servant watched her in silence. In verse 22, it says, he watched her closely to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. So Rebecca didn't know that she was being watched. Like, she didn't know that the character of this, like, ordinary moment, I mean, extraordinary strength and grit and 250 gallons, but she didn't know that this was literally going to determine the entire trajectory of her life. She was just being who she was when she thought nobody was watching. That is Proverbs 4. Proverbs 4:23, guarding your heart for everything you do flows from it. Rebecca's heart had been so consciously, consistently tended to, that when the moment came, it just came out of her. Generosity, service. She didn't have to decide to be giving. She didn't have to decide to be faithful. She just was. She just was. Because you can't fake what flows from the source. Write that down. You cannot fake what flows from the source. What flows out of you when you're impatient? What flows out of you like you're disappointed in your hair? What flows out of you when you don't get your way? What flows out of you when your husband's in a mood, or your kids are in a mood, or your dog's in a mood, or your boss is in a mood, or your team's in a mood? You cannot fake what flows from the source. The source is always just true. It's like turning on the tap. I have two different taps in my house. One's filtered, one's not. Right? One's tap water and one's reverse osmosis that removes all the fluoride and the chlorine. And if you know, you know, we don't want to calcify our pineal glands, okay? So we have our drinking water. I can't fake from the tap water, from the city water, purified water. It is adulterated, chlorinated, fluoridated tap water. It is what it is. It is from the source. But the other, the filtered water, has been through something. Write this down. A woman who guards her heart in private is always ready for the moment in public. A woman who guards her heart in private, who tends to her heart, right? Because all things flow from it, is ready for the moment in public. She doesn't have to perform. She just has to show up in who she is and who she's becoming. And for Bruce and for the men watching, for who he is and who he's becoming. How many guys would love taking off the pressure of having to perform like a Christian, having to perform like Christ, having to perform godly ways and just be? That's what it means to truly guard your heart. That's what it means to protect it because everything flows from it. Okay, story number three, because we got to roll. Let's go to Genesis 39, just 13, 14, 15 chapters ahead. Genesis 39, 39, 39. We're going to go to Joseph. You guys will know the story. We got a lady involved, Potiphar's wife. She's got bad intentions. Oh boy. Okay, so Genesis 9. Again, we're not going to read it because it's a lot. Joseph's story is one of the most dramatic in scripture, okay? Obviously, his timeline is nuts. If you guys don't know, he was sold in slavery by his own brothers. Because of the favor from the Lord, he ended up in Potiphar's house. But because of the favor, he ended up being created and as promoted as the overseer. Okay, so that is really, really, really huge. All right. He's in a foreign country. He has no family, no contacts, no protection, no community. He has absolutely no rights. He's completely alone, vulnerable in every way possible, especially in that time. So he ends up with Potiphar. This is one of Pharaoh's officials, by the way. Okay. Second in command. And God's favor is so visible on Joseph. Potiphar puts him in charge, which basically means that Potiphar trusted him with everything. He had access, he had influence, he had positioning in the house. It was remarkable considering he started as a slave, right? This is huge. And then it says Joseph was handsome. Joseph was fine. He was a good looking man. And guess who noticed him? It says, it was like verse 6. He was handsome in form and appearance. He was ripped, I'm sure. Potiphar's wife was like, you, sir, come hither, right? And it says, day after day she comes to him. Genesis 39:10. And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her and even be with her. She said, lie with me, come with me. Behold, like, come here, come here. I want you guys to understand that this was not a single moment of temptation. This is just not like a one-off deal where like one time she came to him and it was like one chance and he's like, oh, okay, I got out of there unscathed. She was pursuing him day after day. And it's important to know he said no. He didn't say no because he wasn't attracted to her. He didn't say no because it would not feel good. He said no because of what it would cost. He says in verse 9, how then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? So he wasn't doing like a pro and cons list. He wasn't like negotiating with the tempter or the temptation. He had already settled with the question at a level in his heart. From the flow, what flows from the source is already decided. What flows from the source is already decided. So here's the part of the story that I want you guys just to like marinate on because it's really when we talk about Proverbs 5 through 7, this is what it's preparing you for, all this protection. Joseph said no. And what happened? He got promoted, he was in charge, he was amazing. No, he went to prison. Wait a second. Wait a second. The Lord's favored, the Lord's son here, who has been just, oh my gosh, blessed and gone through so much and has been like promoted. And he stands strong in the moment, moment after moment after moment. And he's like, no, lady. He's running from her. She's grabbing his cloth. Says he's like grabbing his garment. I'm assuming that means like his like outfit. He's like running away naked. He's like, no, lady. He's so loyal to the father, loyal to Potiphar, says absolutely not. And how is he rewarded? Prison. Prison. He said no, he was wise and he goes to prison anyway. Whoa, write this down. Wisdom did not produce an immediate reward. Wisdom didn't produce an immediate reward. It actually, in this situation, it produced a prison sentence. I think, based on timeline, at least 2 years in prison. This is so huge, guys, because the right choice at great personal cost didn't give a visible, immediate payoff. And that's how it works sometimes. We're confronted with the hard thing to do and we make the decision, and then we're like, well, that wasn't worth it. Darn it. We find our own imprisonment. The text says, though, that the Lord was with Joseph in prison. The same favor, the same presence of God was now operating with him in a much darker, scarier, and harder place. Potiphar's wife couldn't take from Joseph no matter what she had told her husband. She couldn't take his integrity, she couldn't take his character, she could not take the thing that God was building in him. Okay? This is what Proverbs 7 is really warning about. It's not just about the obvious seduction, friends. Anything that requires you to give up the thing that no one can take for you, your character, your integrity, in exchange for fleeting pleasure, fleeting success, fleeting flattery, fleeting ego, fleeting comfort. I see it so much in network marketing. How many people take a deal, do the jump, change companies? They're trying to go for something easy or that's comfortable. I see it a lot. There's a lot of stuff that happens up in like higher level leadership, guys. It's just crazy. But at what cost? Their integrity, their character, their reputation, the relationships that they have. Joseph said no and he went to prison. But out of that prison, he became the second most powerful man in the world. Whoa. And he ended up saving an entire generation from famine. It wasn't an immediate payoff, but God stayed with him. The wisdom that said no in Genesis 39 was actually directly, if you go to Genesis 41, when we look at that, directly tied to the yes that God had for him there, interpreting Pharaoh's dreams, getting into second in command. What you protect in private, God will use in public. What you give away in private, no public success can fully restore. What you give away in private, no public success can fully restore. I think about one of my old mentors, truly one of the greatest network marketers I have ever met. I truly had never met somebody more powerful, more magnetic, alluring, attractive, not in a typical way, but like in a way that you just like you know you want to be with and like that person. You want to be liked by that person. Very Steve Jobs was kind of you wanted to be loved by Steve, and he was really rough. He had it all. Millions, the mansions, the condos, the perfect wife, the perfect family. And because of his private life, no amount of his public success could save him from what he had. Now he's divorced, doesn't live with his two kids. His $600 million company is no longer because of his private decisions. Think on that for a second. All right. Now, we're running out of time. Oh my goodness. I have so much to share, so much to share. Well, maybe I'll just maybe I can just like really simplify this. Okay, I had the three proverbs I just wanted to really quickly. So let's just go through really quickly. Okay, proverbs, I'm gonna give you three proverbs of these seven, three little kind of verses of like that really stood out to me. So number one was Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. This is the one you guys all know. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your understanding, in all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Okay. So this is the surrender chapter. All right. So Proverbs 3 is the surrender chapter. I have taught this verse, guys, more times than I can count, and it still confronts me every single time. And when I look at the word trust in Hebrew, I don't really know how to pronounce it well. I think it's batach, batach, but batach doesn't actually mean believe in. Even the demons believe in Jesus, right? Batach for trust, it means to lean on. And guys, this is to put your full weight onto it. That's what it means. It's your full weight. So it's not the image of somebody like if you've ever been on like an old bridge, like or like something like you're up in like a deck and you're like, that's a little rotted out, and you kind of put like a little bit of your weight on like a little plank and you're like, but you're not going to put your full 150 pounds on it because you're just like, I'm just going to put my toe on it. That's not what this is. This is not testing it to see if it's going to hold. It's the person that's thrown their full body weight onto something and there's no longer anything holding them back in reserve. Okay. It's that trust, batak, and then with all of your heart, not most of it, not the parts that feel comfortable trusting, all of it. Write this down, including all parts of your business, your plans, your decision, your relationships, even the things that you feel most competent in. It's those parts especially. The things that I fail so often is I am competent on so many levels like you are. And because of my confidence, because I'm like, I got it, I fail to batak, to lean onto God. Because I'm like, I got this. I can launch a thing. I can do a thing. I can lead a thing. I have all these years of launching and doing and leading. But it's the batak with all of it. Lean not onto your own understanding. And the same word lean here the way the lean not in your understanding is not the same the talk. It actually means sha'an, which is to support yourself by. And so again, the verse is literally saying put your full weight on God. Do not put your weight on your own. And here's what I know about physics. You can't lean in two directions. It's the same thing with positive and negative charges. Can you guys simultaneously hold a negative thought and a positive thought in your brain at the same time? It's impossible. It's the same thing with trusting and leaning on God. Either we are leaning on ourselves or we're leaning on God. And he says it's either all on God or nothing. Because if it's partially, are you really leaning on God or are you still holding back, testing to see if he'll really follow through? Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, lean on your understanding, and in all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. All your ways, every road, every decision, every offer, every product, every hire, every recruit, every direction that you guys are considering, like submit and he will make your path straight. Here's what I wanted to say plainly. Most of this do, and I do this most, is I do a version of this verse that I lean on God on the things I can't control. That's right. I'm like, well, I can't control it, so it's up to you, Jesus. That's really easy for me. But I lean on my own understanding in everything I feel capable in. And then I wonder why my paths get so complicated. Full surrender is not like a feeling. It's actually like this daily, sometimes like a hourly, minute by minute decision to put your weight back on him, even when you're fully capable of carrying it yourself. Let's go to Proverbs 4 really quick. That was a surrender chapter. This is like the guarding chapter. And we talk about, again, 4:23, above all else, guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it. I did this in the micro study, but I just want to take a moment here a little deeper because I think it's one of the most practically important verses in the entire book of Proverbs. We talk about the word heart in Hebrew is lev, and lev is not your emotions. It's your entire inner person, your mind, your will, your desires, your moral compass, your decisions, your capacity for decision making. It's the command center. That's the lev in Hebrew, is the command center. The place that every thought, every choice, every action originates before it ever becomes visible on the outside. So that's what we have to guard. And then this natsar, the guarding, that word natsar means to watch, to keep, to persevere, to protect, as the watchman protects the city. It's active, it's ongoing, it's like 24/7. It's a guy that's like never off duty. Holy cow. And it says above else, not most things, not when it feels necessary, but above everything else. It's like everything you do flows from it. The young Rachel tossing the check in a dramatic, emotionally unkept way and stomping out of the salon, that was a woman who didn't know how to guard her heart. And when we look at Rebecca, when we think back to that connection in Genesis 24, she didn't have to decide to be generous because that just flowed from her. She had been guarding her heart so consistently, so well, that generosity just flowed. It's the natural outgoing of a well tended inner life. When I do my teachings in my team, we have now it's monthly, it used to be weekly, it's called Legends. And I've done about 200 Legends calls. Maybe closer to 250 if you include the Philippines. So like 250 leadership calls at a high level. And one of the number one phrases that I use consistently is I talk about the fact that leadership, success, ranking up, going to the next level, it's the dark and lonely work. It's the inner work. And every time we see somebody in the Bible that has overcome overcome the temptation or overcome the trial or stood in the test of this horrible, horrible situation, and they were upright and godly, you always see and you know that they did the dark and lonely work. They did the inner work. And I talk about the Joseph connection. He didn't negotiate with temptation in that moment. He had already decided what was important to him, and that was honoring God. When you decide what you want long before the pressure comes, when it comes, it's like nothing. But if you keep your options open to sin, keep your options open to temptation. Oh, who's got the next deal, the next biggest comp plan, the next new thing, the next new system? That I mean, just like, well, you need this system for your funds. Well, you need this thing for your business. It's like you're always torn. Or you should try this tactic that's a little shady because it's working. Hmm. If you're letting your lev right now, the inner everything, right, the command center, you need to make sure that you keep it hold. And I have like an entire page notes. I'm trying to give this a better, I'm trying to like go fast, so I apologize if I'm a little all over the place. Lord help me. What you are letting into your lev, what you're letting into your command center, how do I say this, is literally going to become the next season of your life. That's as simply as I can put it. What you are letting into yourself right now, I can tell you your future. Whatever you're building yourself up, however you're protecting, however you're guarding, however you're feeling, whatever's going inside right now, that becomes your next season. So based on that, sorry, I had to literally simplify about 5 paragraphs. What does your next season look like? Basing how you're tending the lev right now. If it doesn't look promising, if you're a little scared, if it's concerning at all, or not even inspiring, if it kind of looks the same, because sometimes it's not necessarily totally distraction, but sometimes if you've been at such maintenance, such complacency, such comfort that it just looks like the same, it's a reason for an about face. It's a reason for a spiritual Holy Spirit checkup from the neck up. And then Proverbs 8. Again, I'm going to simplify this. Bear with me. I have 13 paragraphs. I'm going to try to give you this in two. All right. Proverbs 8, 1 through 3. Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice at the highest point along the way where the paths meet? She takes her stand beside the gate leading to the city. At the entrance, she cries aloud. Proverbs 8 is a climax of everything we talked about this week in the micro studies. And I want you to feel it because wisdom right here is personified in a woman standing at the most public, most commercial, most trafficked place in the ancient world. It was the city gates. It was the marketplace. Okay. So everyone is going past. It was the intersection where all the roads would meet. Every merchant, every buyer, every traveler, every leader would go right past it. And guys, wisdom was there. What was she doing? Was she sitting like a Jehovah's Witness with a little stand? Like hoping somebody at the airport or on the city street would like come and see her and come talk about their foolish doctrine. No, Lady Wisdom was literally crying aloud. She wasn't whispering, she wasn't passive. She was raising her voice. She was standing because she knows that you will pass because everybody did. And she is screaming out to you, calling out to you specifically. That's what wisdom is doing right now for your life. Wisdom is in hiding. It's not reserved for the educated or the experienced or the special or the spiritually elite or the spiritual mature. Not at all. She's available to every single one of us. And then verses 22 through 31 hit me like literally like a tsunami because it talks about the Lord brought me forth at his first of his works before his deeds of old. I was formed long ages ago at the very beginning when the world came to be. Wisdom was there before creation, before the mountains, before the flood, before the oceans were formed, before the foundations of the earth were laid. God created the world and wisdom was present. And then in verse 30, it says, was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing before him always. Wisdom delights in God. She rejoices in his presence. She's not a burden or a discipline or something you have to force yourself to pursue. God. Because I feel like at times in my life and in my journey that I've been like forcing myself to pursue something. Like I had a breakthrough even in the last year or so of the fruit of the Spirit. So Galatians 5:22 through 23, right? What are they? Love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control, faithfulness. I don't know. I think I got most of them. Did I get most of them? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. And I remember for so often, guys, how many guys ever felt like I needed to get that? I'm like, I need to be that. I need to, I need to be self-controlled. I need to be joyful. I need to be loving. I was trying to like force it. And then I realized that the more that I had God in me, the more that it just flowed. I didn't have to force it. It just came out of me. And then verse 35, I'll just skip through this. Sorry, there's just so much. Proverbs 8:35, the verse that closes it all. For those who find me, wisdom, find life and receive favor from the Lord. Hello, life, favor from the Lord Himself. Sign me up. That's what's on the other side of answering wisdom's call. When she's out at the gate, when she's screaming at you, calling you out, Nikki, June, Carol, Patty, Bruce, CJ, Athena, guys, like she's screaming for you. And what she's saying is, you're not just going to get better decisions. You're not just going to get like a more sustainable business, like you're getting life. And it's the kind of life that Proverbs has been describing for 8 chapters. It's rooted, it's protected, it's directed, it's unshakable. I don't cuss very often, but I have this word I say unfrequentable, becoming unfrequentable. And you can take unfreak with a different word, but could you imagine? Could you imagine? Wisdom is calling you from the marketplace at every intersection where all your paths meet. She's literally every morning where you would go. This is where it is. She's coming up when you open your Bible, when you open your laptop, when you grab that phone in bed. She is calling out to you. The question is whether you are stopping to listen. Okay, before I pray, I want to give you guys a little homework. Did you guys know you're getting homework? Oh, it is homework. And it's not optional. This is not optional. This is compulsory. Okay. Do it. I want you to go back to the thing you wrote down in week 1, the thing that we asked God to do in you this month. Remember? What is the thing that you want God to do in you this month? And I need you to ask this question in writing. I need you to answer this question. Where are you still leaning on your own understanding instead of submitting that area fully to God? Not in general. I want you guys to get specific. Nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes specific. One area, name it, write it down, and then write what full surrender in that area actually looks like for you. And I want you guys to bring it with you on May 15th when we're back again, because we're going to build on it. Now, reminder, just like logistics, we're going to have continue to do the daily micro studies. They're going to drop every single morning in the Facebook group. I want you guys to show up for them. They are not long. They're designed to literally take one verse, unpack it, do something with you that day. We'll get back on May 15th, next Friday, session 3. We're going to go through Proverbs 9 through chapter 15. Yep, 9 through 15. So check your email from the Zoom link. It's also posted in the group. And if you missed session 1, please check out the replay. It's also posted in the group. I have like a pinned post, wisdom, 31 days of wisdom, and it has all the things. So all the micro studies, all the Zoom links, it's kind of the everything thread. Let's bow our heads together and kind of close this in prayer. Oh, look it, we're only like 2 minutes over. Okay, Lord. God, I thank you for this room, for the men and women that showed up again, for who are taking this seriously, for those who are letting your word do something in them, that are letting them get underneath the surface and get it deeper and deeper in doing the work. I pray over every person who's sitting with hard questions right now, that area that she knows or he knows that he needs to surrender, but they're not fully letting go of. I pray over the person that's sitting with that and for the person that's leaning on their own understanding. Meet them there. Be patient with them there. Give them grace to batak, to throw their full weight on you, even in the places that feel the most difficult to release. We want to be women like Queen of Sheba who pursue wisdom at whatever cost, like Rebecca, whose character flowed naturally from a tended and guarded heart, and like Joseph, who protects what matters most, even if it costs us everything. Make us that, not on our own strength, but in yours, not on our own grit, but in yours. Transform us. Guys, we say all this in Jesus' name. We'll see you back in the group tomorrow morning for our next micro study. If you guys, I'll end the recording